Instead of being tucked safely in their beds at home, we saw rows of children lying side by side, sprawled on a hospital floor, all of them dead from Assad's gas. We know that after a decade of conflict, the American people are tired of war. Believe me, I am too. But fatigue does not absolve us of our responsibility. We also know that we have a president who does what he says that he will do. And he has said very clearly that whatever decision he makes in Syria, it will bear no resemblance to Afghanistan, Iraq, or even Libya.
Charles, you made a reference in a piece you wrote recently to the Guns of August, which is, of course, a reference to August 1914 when Europe was, and other parts of the world, stretching all the way to the Dardanelles, was a powder keg ready for someone to light the match. What are the historical parallels, if any?
Well, look, the real problem at the beginning of the last century was the growth of Germany, how to contain it. Europe didn't know how to do it. They ended up with 2 world wars as a result. The analogy today is Iran in the Middle East. It's a rising power. It's an aggressive one. It's a have-not power. It wants a place in the sun. It's acquiring nukes, and it scares the hell out of all the Arabs. It's a Persian country. And it now has a client in Syria. The war is being driven by Iran. There's actual evidence that the Iranian agents, Revolutionary Guards who were involved in the poison gas. Iran controls Hezbollah, which spreads terror in the Middle East and in the region. And Iran is the one driving the war. Iran is looking, and it's also developing nukes, of course. The problem is that if you get into this war, even in the limited and I think almost absurd way Obama is doing, he's given them so much notice that even if we dropped all the ammunition on the 3 or 4 ships, it wouldn't, I mean, everything of importance has been moved. Iran is strengthened, and the question is, it's going to look as if the U.S., the UK has already walked away. Iran is in the driver's seat. America is slinking away. And the problem is that if you make a miscalculation here, and you let Iran imagine that it is in charge, it threatens to attack Israel, Syria as well, and Hezbollah. Israel will respond fiercely, and it could get out of control. So it isn't as if an Obama imagines, I'll do, he says, I'll do a narrow thing, I'll do a limited thing, it's not going to be boots on the ground, as if he's pleading with Assad, don't take it seriously, it's just going to be a few bombs in the desert. Well, if he miscalculates and the Iranians or Hezbollah reacts, we could have a regional war, a major regional war.
There's a new term you're going to hear over and over and over again, as we did last night. It's called a broad range of options. Secretary Kerry said that we're going to offer the president a broad range of options. But, we talked for an hour and a half, and they didn't mention one of the options.
We don't know how strong this retaliation, if any, is going to be. I think it's we're all assuming it's just going to be a pinprick, it won't hurt Assad, et cetera, et cetera. I wouldn't be too sure of that. Let's wait and see exactly what develops.
Limited, narrow, no boots on the ground. It's not open-ended. Obama and Kerry say we are weary of war. Do you think that they're listening in Iran and in Syria and they're trembling in their boots? If this is the call to arms, this is a very uncertain trumpet.
Now, I have not made a final decision about various actions that might be taken to help enforce that norm. But as I've already said, I have had my military and our team look at a wide range of options.
The president has to make a tough call, Brian. I know you're trying to subtly rope me into the issues of the day. I refuse to be roped in.
I understand, but I'm not even subtly roping. I just wanted your unique perspective at the leadership level, which very few people get behind those closed doors.
Putting our military into harm's way is the toughest decision a president will make.
Array of tweets. Tom Price, a Republican, says American involvement in Syria means articulating America's security interests. POTUS has failed to do so. Need approval from Congress. Buck McKeon, the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, Republican. 2 things we did not hear from Secretary Kerry. What is our military objective? What legal justification is the administration using? Representative Alan Grayson, a Democrat. Help us reach 10K against intervention in Syria. Take action now. Sign up and retreat. And Raul M. Grawalva, says attacking Syria is the wrong course of action. We need prevention right now, not punishment. Charles, shades of Parliament?
Well, I'm not sure if we had a vote which way it would go in Congress, or we are not going to have a vote. There's a president who acts unilaterally. He didn't do anything on Libya. He's not going to do anything here. But the uncertainty of this is simply staggering. Look at you showed a clip of him speaking about the war in a room with people around him and the cameras clicking. The speech is not given by the president, as it ought to be. It usually is. It always is. When Clinton attacked Afghanistan, he was the one who spoke in the Oval Office. So he's behind the scenes and Secretary of State. The message of this is, I'm not serious. Assad is hiding all his assets. It will soon be over. It's only about whether I'm going to be humiliated and having a line crossed and doing nothing.
Secretary Kerry left a lot of wiggle room with his closing remarks, saying that this can only be handled diplomatically.
Well, obviously they're going to have to act militarily because they're way out on a limb, and everything hangs on it. But it is only about the president's word and whether anybody will believe anything he says. Ultimately, a diplomatic solution is not in the cards. This is going to be settled on the ground with war. And right now, the Iranian, the Syrian, the Hezbollah side is winning.
This has been a Sunfish production.